Beyond allocating innovation investments based on their business's future potential, Chief Strategy and Chief Innovation Officers need to govern innovation with discipline to ensure the company's innovation investments can achieve the desired growth across its portfolio businesses. We examined how innovation is and will be governed. In terms of who, most companies recognize the need for directing their innovation efforts. 84% of them take a more centralized approach to directing innovation with, say, a Chief Innovation Officer or an innovation committee. However, centralized oversight might not be enough as innovation spend and spread increase complexity. Even more important than the who is the how. And the reality is that only 1 out of 10 companies govern innovation with discipline. Many companies assume governance will kill creativity. The word governance is used to refer to control or bureaucracy. We discussed the effects of governing innovation with Julian Birkinshaw, of course, but also with other innovation leaders from corporate and non-corporate organizations. Here we share some sections of our interviews with Paresh Modi, Vodafone's Group Head of Innovation, Albert Mundet, Head of the Football Club Barcelona Innovation Hub, and Ferran Adrià, former chef of El Bulli restaurant and director of El Bulli Foundation.
So the question of how you govern or oversee the process of innovation is a difficult one, and there's problems on both sides. In other words, if you just let every business, shall we say, make their own choices, you get chaos. In other words, you get companies chasing sort of pet projects because individuals are personally interested in them. And so that doesn't work, because you need to find a way of channeling the money into the most interesting, most fruitful opportunities, and prioritizing the investments, make sure that you only put big money into the stuff which has already proven that it's going to have a good shot at success. So that's the problem on one side, but the problem on the other side of excessive governance is equally problematic. I can think of many companies who've created these so-called stage gate processes, these funnels, where the system is so constraining, it has so many stages and so many gates, that actually projects get killed.
Innovation governance is a complex topic because it's not like any other governance. To us, there is a very strict governance process at the sharp end, at the last part of identifying what are the solutions, what can we really make work, what works with customers, and what can we roll out there. So in my mind, the governance should be extremely light at the outset. It should be extremely rigorous in terms of filtering and ideation of companies that we can work with, partners that we can work with, and solutions we can bring at the sharp end. And but even at the sharp end, you still need to enable fast turnaround. So we're putting the conditions in place, and we think that last bit of innovation governance is really important. It's different type of governance to what you would normally expect in a normal gating process, but there is sharp governance at the end because there has to be.
I don't agree with that sentence saying that governance may at some point harm innovation. Governance, for me, governance is not about framing everything you want to deliver innovation. You have to give space to this innovation to arise. For me, governance is about setting up specific goals and a plan, and that plan could be having different startups working by themselves, not interacting with your company, developing what they do, but then you know what you're trying to achieve, and at some point you just build your KPIs on what you're trying to achieve, and then you just understand if your plan was good or not, right? I would say that in terms of the process of innovation, ideation is kind of the easiest way to manage, and at the end of the day, it's not that important. But on the transition between experimentation phase and scaling phase, was you are actually right now to start putting some processes in terms of actually making things happen. I would say that there is where I feel like governance is the most important part.
A ver, hay una imagen equivocada de que los grandes creativos son desordenados, ¿vale? Esto es mentira. Es mentira porque yo he trabajado con grandes creativos mundiales, grandes, y no he encontrado nunca desordenados. Entonces yo creo que esto que decías de no, el control mata la libertad, mentira. ¿Por qué? Porque somos seres humanos. Los seres humanos somos imperfectos. Y los seres humanos, cuando trabajan en una empresa, pequeña o grande, va a haber un momento de relajación. ¿Por qué? Porque si tu competencia no lo hace, y es muy seria y tal, va a un momento te va a ganar. Al final, todo es un tema de equilibrio. ¿No? Las cosas no son blancas y negras, las cosas son grises. Entonces, yo siempre digo que a mí me encanta la anarquía si hay orden.
With these ideas in mind, as well as with more input from our research, we identified 12 governance rituals, which, rather than controlling innovation, can create the right conditions for innovation to thrive in the right businesses. In fact, we've found those companies that adopt 6 or more of these 12 rituals today, an approach that we labeled extensive innovation governance, are achieving double the revenue growth than that of companies adopting fewer rituals. For the 5 years between 2013 and 2018, that's an average of 6% for those governing innovation with discipline, compared to only about 3% for their peers. These 12 governance rituals can be organized across 4 stages of innovation: inspiration, ideation, experimentation, and scaling. First, inspiration. Ritual 1, put innovation at the center of the corporate strategy. This ritual is not about having the word innovation printed everywhere. It's about shaping your corporate strategy based on the idea of continuous change for value creation and on being recognized for it. Ritual 2, actively communicate the innovation agenda to employees and the investor community. Innovation, as all challenging goals, needs alignment. So it is crucial to communicate plans with transparency not only to those making innovation happen, your people, but also to those providing the funds for change. Non-incremental innovation takes risk and time. Being transparent with the investor community will help the company, first, gain license to innovate, maybe by taking more time or more risk, but also learning quicker in the process. And 2, it should help the company attract the right investor profile over the long term. 3, actively build a culture of innovation. Does the company reward what it preaches? Many companies talk about the importance of taking risks, of increasing diversity, of being entrepreneurial, but really, organizational cultures are only shaped by example and incentives. The second stage is ideation. Ritual 4, everyone generates ideas to improve existing offerings. No one knows the customer better than those who serve them. When it comes to incremental innovation, companies should ask your people, especially those closest to the customer, to come up with ideas for better products and services. 5, employ a diverse team of experts to generate ideas for brand new offerings. Breakthrough ideas require more than knowing the customer well. So multidisciplinary teams of experts can help companies come up with ideas that not even the customers could think of. To balance creativity with scalability, this team should operate away from the day-to-day, but be refreshed on a regular basis. 6, identify disruptive ideas with the help of tech partners. Disruptive innovation is by nature a threat to established business models. So when it comes to generating disruptive ideas, it's not likely that this will come from people within the business. Therefore, when it comes to the most radical type of innovation, it's important to partner with those who can challenge your way of thinking. The third stage is experimentation. A common issue we identified was the scaling often fails due to poorly designed experiments. And these often lack the required funding. So the first 2 rituals in this stage focus on funding. Ritual 7, experimentation investments are made as part of the budgeting cycle. This is about making sure that there is a formal and big enough budget for experimentation, and that the testing of ideas is not an afterthought. Ritual 8, experimentation investments are funded gradually. Having enough money for experimentation is a first step, but using that money wisely is crucial. In line with the VC's approach, companies need a mechanism to release seed funding initially, and then only to increase it over time as needed based on the results of pilot tests. Ritual 9, experiments are conducted by an innovation lab or digital factory. When ideas rely heavily on new technologies or on new ways of working, experiments are more robust when done through a specialized entity. Our final stage is scaling. This is another particularly challenging stage. To scale rapidly, companies need flexible sources of tools, people, and infrastructure. Ritual 10, scale with technology partners. This ritual is about actively engaging with partners across the ecosystem in order to get access to the technologies needed to scale faster. Ritual 11, scale with talent partners. Getting the right people quickly can be impossible for many companies. So in a similar way as the previous ritual, companies should engage with partners to get access to specialized talent and expertise when they need it. And finally, Ritual 12, scale through an innovation lab or digital factory. In the same way as the experimentation stage, to scale ideas that rely heavily on new technologies or ways of working, we recommend using a specialized organizational entity for scaling ideas.